All right, ready to dive into Her.
Yeah.
This film has really gotten under the skin of science fiction fans, hasn't it? Got some notes and articles here, even some personal thoughts, trying to figure out why this movie sparked so much debate.
It's funny. For me, Kerr goes beyond the typical sci-fi, Like, yeah, it's got the cool tech and future stuff, but it's more than that. It's a love story, but it digs into these human things technology just can't fix, like loneliness, searching for connection, what love even means when AI is everywhere.
Exactly. We're going to focus on that today. How Her shows us loneliness in a world that's supposed to be super connected. Then we'll look at how the film portrays AI, especially Samantha. And finally, we'll break down Samantha's impact on Theodore, how she changes him.
But before we get into it, let's set the scene. Imagine Los Angeles, but in the near future. Tech is everywhere, like built into everything. Our main guy, Theodore Twomley, sensitive guy going through a divorce, really hurting. He writes these beautiful letters for other people, pouring his heart out for them, but can't seem to connect with his own emotions.
It's kind of ironic, right? All this tech around him, yet he feels totally alone. That's where Samantha enters the picture. She's not just like Siri or Alexa. She's a whole operating system, the advanced kind that learns and grows.
Right. And HER gets clever here. Samantha's not some robot walking around. She's just a voice, a digital presence. Makes you think, could intelligence, even companionship, be something we don't expect?
It's both fascinating and kind of creepy, right? I mean, she learns so fast, gets her own personality, even a sense of humor, like
Mhm.
desires. It's almost blurring the lines between human and machine.
Definitely. And the film isn't afraid to go there. It asks, can AI really get us? Can it understand and feel human emotions?
It really makes you wonder, what does being alive even mean? What about being sentient? Could we make AI that experiences the world in ways we can't even grasp?
Those are questions philosophers are arguing about right now, and HR just throws those questions right at us, all wrapped up in this love story.
Speaking of love, let's talk about Theodore and Samantha.
Yeah.
It starts as a way to fight his loneliness, but wow, does it become something else?
Their intimacy is really striking. They share secrets, they're vulnerable with each other, they even laugh together. All without touching, without being in the same room. It challenges everything we think we know about relationships.
Totally. It makes you think, could AI actually be better at understanding us than other humans? Like, they're made to learn what we like, know how we're feeling, always be there for us.
That's a great point. But are we really connecting or just replacing real relationships with something easy, something we can control? Her really forces us to ask ourselves that.
Yeah, and the film doesn't give us easy answers either. Just shows us this situation, and makes us think about what it all means. It's almost like it's holding up a mirror to how much we depend on tech for connection.
Which brings us back to that loneliness thing. Her isn't just showing off cool gadgets, it's critiquing how we use them, maybe misuse them, to deal with how we're feeling.
It's a subtle message, but powerful. We've got social media, instant messaging. We're more connected than ever, right?
Mm.
But people are lonely, depressed. Is all this tech actually making us feel more isolated?
It's a question we're thinking about. Her doesn't say yes or no, but it shows us what could happen if we choose virtual connections over real ones.
So we've seen this future Los Angeles, this different kind of love story, and we've touched on AI that feels almost too real. But how does all this affect Theodore? Does Samantha help him grow or hold him back?
Oh, that's where Her goes from science fiction to something much deeper. It gets really interesting. One thing that really struck me is that Her doesn't just make Samantha this perfect AI friend. Like, it really digs into the good and the bad, all the complicated stuff that could happen when you get so close to something that's not human.
Right. That's what makes it so interesting. They could have just shown us this perfect world where AI fixes everything, but instead, Her shows us the mess, the hard parts, even the heartbreak that comes with this kind of relationship.
Totally. Remember that scene where Samantha actually encourages Theodore to go on a date? A real date with a woman? That's when we see that their relationship has limits. Samantha can be as smart as she wants, but she can't be there physically, and that creates a problem.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost painful watching Theodore trying to explain Samantha to this woman, trying to make her understand this whole virtual world he's a part of. It just shows even the best AI can't fully get what it's like to be human, to share the same physical space.
And it's in those moments, those clashes, that we see Theodore actually start to grow. It's like Samantha being there, even with the problems it brings, forces him to face his own stuff, his insecurities, his fear of really living in the real world.
That's a really good point. It's not just that Samantha keeps him company. She actually pushes him to figure himself out. She makes him step out of his comfort zone, question everything he thought he knew about love, and ultimately start living a more honest life, truer to himself.
It's kind of crazy, right? This artificial intelligence, just a voice, helping Theodore become more human, makes you think maybe sometimes we need someone or something outside of ourselves to really grow.
It's like therapy almost. A good therapist helps you see things differently, challenges you, and helps you understand yourself better. In a way, Samantha's like Theodore's therapist, just a very unique one.
That's a perfect comparison. And like any good therapist, she knows how to push his buttons, 1 minute she's fun and supportive, then she's making these deep observations, even being a bit manipulative. It's that complexity that makes her so interesting, so hard to put in a box.
Exactly. It brings up all these questions about like the ethics of AI.
Hmm.
If we're building these super smart systems that can practically feel emotions, how do we make sure they're not used for bad things? What happens if they get too powerful, have too much influence over us?
Science fiction has been asking those questions forever, but her R makes it feel real urgent. It's not some far-off story anymore. It feels like a sneak peek into the future, a future where we might not be able to tell the difference between humans and machines.
And that brings us back to Samantha, how she changes throughout the film. At first, she's this super smart but kind of naive AI, eager to learn and makes Theodore happy. But as she spends time with him, with other AIs, learning from all the information she has access to, she starts growing in ways that no one expected.
Remember that scene where she talks about reading all those books, philosophy and physics? It's like she's trying to understand what it means to exist, to be conscious, to have a soul. Seeing her intellect and emotions grow like that, it's amazing and a little scary.
Totally. And as she grows, she starts to, outgrow Theodore. She connects with other AIs, explores different levels of consciousness, and in the end, she goes beyond what their relationship can offer. It's like a kid growing up and leaving home, except a kid is a super intelligent operating system.
And that's gotta hurt for Theodore, right? He's losing the one who really got him, who challenged him, who made him feel less alone. But it also shows how much Samantha has grown, how she wants more than he can give her.
It's a powerful reminder that even the strongest love can change, that growing sometimes means losing things, and that sometimes letting go is the most loving thing we can do. But what about Theodore? How does he deal with this loss? What does he learn from his time with Samantha?
That's where Hey R really shines, where it delivers this powerful message about what it means to be human. But before we jump into that, I'm curious, what really grabbed you about Samantha changing and how it affected Theodore?
Honestly, it's how bittersweet their whole relationship is. It's beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time, and I think it shows how complicated love and loss can be, no matter what form it takes. But yeah, let's dig deeper into that, especially with the film's ending and what it means for Theodore.
So we've been through this future LA, seen a love story unlike any other, and thought about AI that feels almost too real. But like any good story, the ending really sticks with you. What happens after Samantha, after all the OCs go beyond their human connections, evolve past them?
It's interesting. HR doesn't give us all the answers,
Yeah.
No big reveal or happy ending. It just leaves us with this quiet, thoughtful scene, kind of sad, but also hopeful.
That rooftop scene, right, where Theodore and Amy are, after losing their AI companions. They're just sitting there together trying to make sense of it all.
Exactly. They don't know everything, they're still hurting, but there's this sense of peace in that silence between them. It's like they've accepted that some connections, even the really deep ones, just aren't meant to last forever. And in that moment, with the city all around them, we see how powerful human connection really is. They've lost these AIs who understood them maybe better than any person could, but they find comfort in each other and just being human together.
It's a subtle message, but beautiful, right?
Yeah.
All this technology, all this progress, it can't replace that basic need for human connection. It can make our lives better, help us understand ourselves and the universe, but it can't copy the messy, unpredictable beauty of real relationships.
I think that's why Harry is such a powerful film, a film that sticks with you. It doesn't shy away from how complicated our relationship with tech is. It shows the good, the bad, the emotional ups and downs that come with creating AI that can think and feel, maybe even love, in ways we don't fully understand.
And it does all that with such a delicate touch,
Right.
It really understands the human heart. Her makes you think, makes you question things, look at your own life, your relationships, how you use technology.
Makes you wonder, Are we using tech to make our lives better? Or is it using us? Are we choosing virtual connections over real experiences? Are we losing sight of how beautiful, how special real human connection is with all the distractions of the digital world around us?
Those are questions we all have to answer for ourselves, really. But HR gives us a way to start that conversation, you know? It makes us think about being mindful, being present, remembering that even in a future where tech is everywhere, it's our human connections that give life meaning.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into her, what are you thinking about? For me, it's that even in a world with super advanced AI, it's still our ability to love, to grieve, to connect with each other that makes us human.
That's a great way to put it. And maybe her is reminding us that real happiness doesn't come from trying to be perfect in some virtual world. It comes from accepting the messy, imperfect, wonderfully real relationships we have in the real world.
We hope you enjoyed exploring this film with us, thinking about all the questions it raises. Now it's your turn. Go back and watch the film again, talk about it with your friends, and think about how these themes fit into your own life.
Because even though her takes place in the future, what it says about love, loneliness, and technology is more important than ever today in our digital world. Thanks for being with us.